Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm out today for some backpacking and camping in Wayne National Forest, southeastern Ohio. I am on the Wildcat Hollow backpacking trail, and I've got a limited amount of time. So today I'm doing the short loop. It's gonna be about 5.5 miles, hoping to cover about 3.5 of that today, and the remaining 2 to 2.5 tomorrow. It's early November, 55 degrees, no real wind or rain in the forecast. Looks like we're gonna have overnight lows around 37, 38 degrees. As you can see, got some sun out now. Beautiful woods around us here. Great day for backpacking. Let's get after it. This blaze here means the trail splits. We'll be coming back on the trail there, but we're gonna go to the left. Little creek crossing here. Let's see. Yeah, quite shallow. Not going to come over the top of the boots. Easy peasy. This is actually our third creek crossing, second that I've filmed, and no cause for wet boots yet. Yep, all good. Certainly not looking for camp yet, but here's a nice campsite I'm going to remember for the future. About 3/4 of a mile in from the trailhead. We got a nice large stone fire pit here. I have a secondary fire pit here, smaller, and it's got this piece of rock on top. So you could use it as a seat, maybe an oven. Do some baking out here. And that's right by the creek here. Now, the National Forest Service doesn't recommend drinking the water here in Wayne National Forest, even if you're treating it. And that's because there's a history of mining operations in the area, so there's concerns about things like heavy metals and other chemicals that could be in the water that aren't going to be adequately accounted for by something like a filter like a Sawyer squeeze, or even with boiling. I do have a Grail water filter, which does treat for heavy metals and some other chemicals, microplastics, stuff like that. But I elected on this trip to just carry all of my water. I'm a high water needs person, so just for this one-day trip, I've got 5 liters with me, and I've got 2 dehydrated meals and coffee, so that's where some of that water needs coming from. But otherwise, I just need about a 1/2 liter per mile to stay adequately hydrated. So that's what we're doing. I've already seen 2 groups of backpackers and some day hikers here in the first mile. It's a beautiful Sunday, so I expect to see some more people on the trail here. But again, because it's Sunday and I'm doing this loop Sunday into Monday, I expect there not to be too many people actually camping out tonight. Either way, it's true dispersed camping here in the National Forest. Camp anywhere you want, with the general rules in place regarding how close you are to the trail, waterways, things like that. The fact of the matter is there's campsites all over the place here. No real need to create a new camp spot when there's all these high use camp spots already around. So like I said, at about the 3.5 mile mark, I'll be looking for a campsite. Give me a reasonable hike out in the morning. Just crossed the creek for the 4th time. Same creek, 4 crossings as we ascend up the valley here. At no point has the water gone over my boot. I would imagine though, if you're here another time of year, you know, I'm here amidst a dry fall. I think if you were here after a snow melt event or spring, early summer, the big rain events, you'd be getting your feet wet a lot within the first mile of trail here. So keep that in mind and determine ahead of time whether you're fine just getting your shoes wet, or you want to come up with some type of plan to get over those crossings. You could obviously, especially in warmer weather, just take off your shoes or boots, put them back on the other side. But that's a lot of on and off in the first mile. After 7 or 8 creek crossings, we are finally on a little switchback and ascending out of the creek valley. Now that we've climbed up some of this ridge, starting to get into some sandstone outcropping here. As far as I know, nothing crazy in terms of rock formations in this area, but still nice to see some rock poking out of the dirt here. Add some trailside interest. Ascending onto this ridge, and nice little campsite here with the little rock outcroppings in the background. Small little campsite, but perfect for 1 or 2 tents, and perfect as well if you don't need access to water because you've carried it like I did. Fire pit, a couple stone and wood benches to sit on, and somebody has been so kind as to stab a tent spike into this tree, presumably as a backpack hanger. Don't do that. Don't do that. Alright, I think we've hit probably the most single ascent we're going to do here. That is from the valley bottom at the trailhead, 234 feet of gain. Very gradual, switchbacks, nothing too difficult. And this is a good example of the terrain here in this part of the state. Farther north and farther west, the state of Ohio is very flat. Farther east and farther south, the topography gets at least a little bit more rugged. You know, the topography in this area you get from the valley bottom to the ridge top, you know, in that 200 to 300 foot range. The most rugged terrain you're going to get in Ohio is centered around the area of Shawnee State Forest, and then some of the terrain close to the Ohio River in southeast Ohio. Shawnee State Forest is going to have some climbs that top out at 400, and in rare instances right around or close to 500 feet. That's as close as we get to mountainous terrain here in Ohio. Humans are funny. You know, I completed that ascent about 2 miles in, a little over an hour, and I thought now would be a good time to take a little break, make sure I'm up to date on my hydration, get the pack off for a minute or two. And right up here is what's clearly, it looks like a campsite at first glance, but there's no fire pit here. And I think this area is cleared out. A couple little benches to sit on, because a bunch of other hikers have had the same idea I had. Hey, time for a little break. So we got this ready-made spot to take a few minutes, 5 minutes maybe, take a breather, get back on the trail. It's the first liter down. Hydration is serious business, people. I've entered this nice grove of eastern white pine here, and these are going to be here and there throughout the forest, but mostly hardwoods. And I was thinking to myself, nice pine grove usually means a campsite, and what do you know, right through here got probably the nicest campsite I've seen so far. Again, up on the ridge, so no water, but lots of space for tents. Nice soft pine duff down here. Clear fire pit, no rocks, probably because nobody's gone through the trouble of carrying them up here. Some benches to sit on. Yeah, nice campsite amidst the pines. But we gotta keep walking. I just heard my first vehicle since starting my hike, which leads me to believe that I'm reaching the northern end of this loop, where I am going to either cross the road or have a little bit of a road walk, and we'll have a connector trail that takes us over to the eastern side of the loop, and that connector trail is what forms the short loop here at Wildcat Hollow. Can't remember the exact distance of the long loop. I'm thinking it's like maybe like 17 miles. If that's wrong, I'll put it on the screen. But that's what I plan to do the next time I'm back. Like I said at the top, just some limited time here on a Sunday into a Monday. Wanted to keep it simple with the short loop, but we should be coming up towards the road here soon. My first time on this hike, I can already tell you that this place is gonna shine fall, winter, and early spring. It's not a place I'd be super excited to hike in the summer, because as you can see, lots of spots of young forest here, and so we have lots of brushy growth. So I think you came here in midsummer, you'd probably be hiking in some pretty close confines. But here in the fall, we got nice fall colors. Canopy's opening up a little bit. Likewise, I think this would be a nice spot for winter backpacking and early spring as well. All right, we've popped out of the woods here, and up there on the hill is the road. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to do a little road walk here or if we're just crossing. We'll see. All right, so we're up at the road. Just spoke to that gentleman in the vehicle there. He's looking for a lost dog named Otis. So I took down his name and number, and if I see him anywhere here, I'm going to give him a call. But we have reached our cutoff to do the short loop. So the long loop, you're going to continue on this road walk here, but for the short loop, we're going on this forest road, which is going to cut us across the loop such that we can accomplish the short loop. One of the things you are going to see in this area is some mining infrastructure or oil extraction infrastructure. But we're not going down the forest road anymore. We are being told to go to the left here, back on the single track. Sometimes the trail's just so predictable, huh? Another nice pine grove here. Trail continues that way. Delightful campsite here. This is about halfway across on the connector trail. I mean, beautiful. Perfect campsite. Ugh, what? A bench. Nice rock fire pit. I mean, you could fit, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tents here. Be great for hammocks. Beautiful pine woods campsite. Once again, leaving that one behind because I want to get across the connector trail and back to the short loop, get a little bit of distance away from that trail intersection there. And that's when I'm going to be looking for a campsite. The long loop goes this way. This is where we came from. Cedar Run. I don't know exactly what that is, but that is that way as well. But our loop's going to continue this way. Start considering any campsite that I come upon, so let's see what we find. We found a campsite. I'll show you. Nice and flat. We got a fire ring, a log to sit on here, plenty of space for the tent, a little bit of a view out here. Probably doesn't come across well on camera, but kind of see across this valley here and over to the next ridge. And we're going to get probably about an hour or so of sunshine here, which is nice. A little chilly out here. I'm going to get set up here. Here's the tent. Thurston X-Mid one. Let's get this guy set up. All right, this is a fly first pitch. So now we're going to put the inner in, which is composed of our mesh as well as the floor. There it is. Dursting X Mode 1. Set up, ready to go. Sleeping pad is my recently repaired Big Agnes Rapide SL insulated. Like I said, the overnight lows tonight are going to be down around 37 or so, so I want an insulated pad with me. Fixed this one recently with some seam sealer and tenacious tape. I had 2 holes in it. On display, my wonderful repair job. Welcome into the tent. Let's inflate this sleeping pad. Last but not least, we have a Kelty Cosmic 20 down sleeping bag. I'm going to celebrate the construction of my shelter and sleeping system by chilling here for a few minutes. Then I'm going to, I think, get a little firewood and probably get dinner started. Be back in a minute. And you're on the head strap of the GoPro now. Just gonna gather some firewood. I didn't bring a saw with me or anything, so I'm not looking for big stuff. I'm mostly looking for stuff like this. Just branches. Presently 4:17. Time changed last night, so sunset tonight is at 5:27. Hour and 10 minutes, but the sun's gonna go down behind that ridge here. Before then, currently 56 degrees. Probably put the fleece on here before too long. Right now, just got on a synthetic lightweight hoodie. All right, I think while I still have the light, I'm gonna make dinner. It's only 4:21, but like I said, the time changed last night, so my body feels like it's 5:21. And I didn't have lunch, I just had breakfast. So yeah, it's time for dinner. Food bag. And we're doing a bag meal tonight in the form of this Peak Refuel Backcountry Bison Bowl. This is my third of the bison entrees that Peak Refuel has made. And the other two are 2 of my favorite backpacking meals ever. I'll put them up on screen here. But this is another one that I'm looking forward to try. It has ground bison in a creamy sauce with rice, beans, and buttermilk biscuits. We're going to be adding 14 ounces of boiling water to it. 930 calories for the whole thing here, including 42 grams of protein. So I didn't do a whole lot of work to get here today. But still, not having eaten since breakfast, I want something filling, and this is gonna check that box for me. Gonna be boiling water with the Esbit stove today, so let's get that going. Full biscuits in here. Look at that. How many oxygen absorbers are there? Looks like just one. Looks delightful. Let's let that water boil and get this thing heating up. We're boiling. Stir well, and then let stand for 10 minutes. While that was coming to a boil, I went and hung a line to hang up my food bag. This is not an area where there's really any bear danger at all. There's bears spotted in this county like maybe every few years. This is not black bear country. But I still just think it's good practice. I mean, it protects your food from, you know, mice and chipmunks and stuff like that. And it's good practice for me, you know, because I've got some trips coming up that are going to take me into black bear country. So I went across the trail, down the ridge just a little bit, and got that all ready to go. So after we're done with dinner and cleaned up and everything, I can take this over and hoist it up into the tree. Easy peasy. Still saying our low is going to be 39. For me, that's not cold enough to justify bringing a down jacket, like a puffy jacket. So I just have the trusty fleece, and I've got a merino wool gator, wool hat, gloves, some nice thermal socks that I'll put on when I enter the tent in a little bit. And again, we got that 20-degree down sleeping bag. So food is just about ready. Gonna get our hand sanitizer on here and get ready to eat. Just like we saw earlier with the tent spike, somebody has placed a giant nail in this tree to hang stuff. Again, don't do that. Don't do that. But if it's there, I'm gonna use it. It's good. I don't know if I like it quite as much as the other bison entrees I've had. Could use maybe some salt and pepper. I did bring some hot sauce, but I'm trying to save it for tomorrow's meal. But it's good. I mean, for a hot meal in the woods, it's hard to beat. Nice and hearty. This is going to be very filling. So I'm going to eat this, chill for a few minutes, and then get this fire started. Fire kit today consists of a Bic mini lighter and a little fire plug. This is the one from Blackbeard. I've been impressed with these so far. Got a nice little fire going. Gotta sit down and enjoy this for a while. Be back with you in a few. I'm in the tent. It's that time of year after the time change where it gets dark at 5:30. So I've been in here for a while. At this point, it's about 7 o'clock, but I let the fire die down and I'm just in the tent watching 1 or 2 movies before I go to bed. So that's it for tonight, and I'll see you in the morning.
Good morning. Heading over to get the bear bag because it contains my breakfast and coffee. Just in case you're interested, this is what would usually be described as a rock bag for hanging up a bear bag. I didn't have any rocks easily accessible around here, so I just filled it with sticks and leaves, tied it off to this slick cordage, tossed it over the limb up there, and then used that to hoist up the bear bag, and then tied it off over here. Once you have your line down, you just wrap it up, put it in here, and then that goes in the bag. Nice and easy. So I slept pretty well last night. Temps got down. I think the lowest they got was actually early this morning at 36 or 37 degrees, but plenty warm in the 20-degree bag. I'm going to get the Esbit stove going for another dehydrated meal for breakfast, as well as some coffee. And while that's going, I'm going to start packing up the tent as well so that I can get on the trail once breakfast and coffee are done. All right, for breakfast today, we got this ReadyWise Outdoor Pro Adventure meal. It's a breakfast skillet. Haven't had this one before, and in my experience, the breakfast skillets from the various brands can be a little hit or miss because the egg can be weird. So some of them are good, and some of them are just because the egg is weird. This has 700 calories, which is more than I need for breakfast, but I'll just have this, skip lunch, and then have dinner tonight, and we'll still have a reasonable amount of calories for the day. How about that? So for this, we need 8 ounces of boiling water, and we're gonna do about 8 ounces for coffee as well. We'll do 10 ounces for coffee. This morning I got the Alpine Start. This is instant coffee with a coconut creamer in it. I've had this before, wasn't a huge fan, but I still have some left, so I'm going to use them, and we'll see if it's a little better this time around. Notably, the hike out today is going to be delightful in part because I'm not carrying 5 liters of water. So one of the reasons I really like these Esbit cubes as opposed to like an isobutane canister stove is because they're silent. When you fire up a canister stove, it's like, you know, just takes all your peace and quiet away. I also really like the fact that, you know, once you burn the cube, you just have a very minimal amount of packaging to carry out, just the little kind of plastic and foil container that the cubes come in. I suppose you could even take them out of that, but they smell really bad before you burn them, so I prefer to leave them in that packaging. But, you know, obviously that packaging is extremely minimal. So the other issue with the canister stove is even when you use up an entire canister, you've still got to carry that canister out with you. So Esbit and really any fuel has its downsides, but those are some of the reasons why I use this. You've seen me use the little aluminum foil windscreen here already, and the stove works much better with that. Much more efficient.
It's always kind of tough to see on camera, but hopefully you can see that we're looking down off of the ridge into a valley here with another ridge beside us. This valley actually contains the creek that we crossed 7 or 8 times at the beginning of our hike. Now, quite a ways back, we actually went on the other side of this ridge, and that's where we ascended and then walked along that. And then up there is where we got our connector trail over to where we are right now. Now, in terms of our hike out, we're going to be on the ridge that's to the left of this valley. So It's the eastern side of the short loop trail here at Wildcat Hollow. And it looks like we're just going to be doing some ridge walking all the way till almost the end, where we lose all that elevation, couple hundred feet, back down to the trailhead and the parking lot. So that's the plan once we get this breakfast and coffee down. See, once that sun comes up, man, it warms up so quickly. I already got a layer off, just that raincoat. It says it's 41 right now. It's only come up a few degrees, but with that sunshine, it's so easy to overheat when you're moving around. Time for coffee. Hey, thanks for coming along with me. I'll just be honest, I'm still not a fan of this one. You know, maybe you would like it if I normally drink my coffee black or just with a small amount of cream. And this is, maybe you would like this if you're used to drinking instant coffee with a lot of cream, because that's kind of what it tastes like. So if that's your thing, maybe this will be your thing. I mean, it's not, I'm gonna drink it, but I'd rather just go with like some Starbucks instant, right? Anyways, cheers. Sausage, scrambled eggs, potatoes, cheese, bell pepper, and onion. Take a couple bites here without any hot sauce, and then we'll add some hot sauce too. Trying just the egg. Like I said before, egg more than anything else can be a little weird in these freeze-dried meals. Here's our Frank's Red Hot. And I squirted some of it on my sleeve. It's all right. I'll give it like I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. I'd say if I give something a 5 or less, I'm not gonna eat it again. I would eat this again, although there's so many other freeze-dried breakfasts that I like more that I'm not gonna seek it out. I am completely packed up other than the stuff I've got here with my breakfast and coffee. I'm gonna finish that up. I've already finished my coffee, so I'm just gonna finish the breakfast here, get everything packed up, and we're gonna get on the trail. All right, we are on the move, walking along, looking down into a different creek valley now. Beautiful fall colors out there. I think we got somewhere between 2 and 2.5 miles until we're back at the trailhead. As I walk along here, I've encountered another beautiful pine grove, and predictably, nice little campsite tucked back here. Got a tent spot over there, tent spot over there. Somebody's left a bunch of firewood here. Got the rock ring, little bench to sit on, and a little ridgetop view here. Yeah, this is a nice one, just about a 1/4 mile past the one I took. As I hike along here, give you some final thoughts on Wildcat Hollow's short loop. First of all, trail is well blazed, well maintained. 2 blowdowns that I had to climb over, but no big deal. I said it before, but I think this is a trail that likely really shines late fall to early spring. I think there's a lot of undergrowth, a lot of brush, and so I think, you know, the closer you are to midsummer, the more likely you're going to encounter kind of a pretty closed in trail. Hopefully it's come across a little bit in the video. There's no true views or vistas here, but you can certainly see kind of across the valleys into the next ridge. And again, when the autumn colors are out, that's a nice view. I think, quite honestly, where this trail really shines is the camping and the freedom when it comes to camping. So a lot of the other spots in Ohio, you're pretty restricted on where you can camp. But here in the Wayne National Forest, and specifically at Wildcat Hollow, it's true dispersed camping. You can camp anywhere as long as you're within the regulations of the forest, which I'll have to ask you to consult yourself. But certainly, you know, the preference is to use one of these established campsites. These are just campsites that people have established over the years, so it's much better to use one of those than to establish a new campsite unless you have to. But hopefully it's also come across that this place is just peppered with campsites all along the trail, many of them really nice. I showed you a few, but you know, there's probably another 20 so far that I did not show you. So tons of nice campsites with little you know, rock fire pits, downed logs to sit on, plenty of space, flat space for tents, as well as trees for hanging hammocks. So I think that's where this place shines, is, you know, nice camping options. For the final time, this is the short loop. That's what I had time for today. I will be back to do the long loop and give you my thoughts on that. Got about a mile left here to hike, and then we'll be signing off. All right, behind us there is where we came from. That is the way we went yesterday. You'll recall we have the blaze here indicating that the trail splits. And so we're gonna go this way, following the sign to the trailhead. There's my car. That's it for this one, my friends. We'll see you next time.